Hey, welcome back to another episode from Life for Living Well. My name is Richard, and I will be your anchor for another wonderful episode for this week. Before I dive into the topic for us this week, I quickly like to say, if you like to know what Life for Living Well does as a community, you can find it out on our website at www.lifeforlivingwell.com. And if you are interested in what are the books that we are excited about, or what we read, or the article, you can also find it on the book page on our website. If you do like to receive a weekly magazine or article that we publish every week, you can sign up on our website and just enter your email. You will be the first that get the articles before we actually publish it into the platform. And if you're so busy and you can't catch up with the podcast, you can see the video blog of this same podcast on our YouTube channel. So if you go to the YouTube and you just type lifeforlivingwell.com, so you should be able to see it. Please make a comment, please support it, please twist it and send it to friends and family that you think the message will be helpful for them. So let's dive into it. So this week is something that we call second part of the podcast for last week. Last week we looked into 5 benefits of reading. And this week is what we call a twin brother or twin sister of the podcast, is what are the 3 benefits of writing? Why writing is actually good for you, and why a lot of people are not actually doing it, and what you can do to start doing that. What kind of writing? So it's not just write, but also it can just be right. So don't limit yourself down to overthinking what can I write. So let's dive into it. As we normally start the podcast, we take one individual quote or inspirational lifestyle, and we use that to open the whole message, and we build around it. So this particular message is a continuation from last podcast. If you mixed the last podcast, I suggest that when you have time, please do try to listen to it so that this last part can make sense altogether. So the topic is what are 3 benefits of writing? So it's a question. So but it's also a statement. I'm sure there is more quality benefit that are shared to writing. Like I normally try to present it, is to give something that we can remember and something that we can build on top. So I'm sure there's more than benefit associated to the writing, but I focus on the 3 that we can expand to so many other parts of life. So this week I'm using Stephen King word to open the podcast. So he put it this way: if you don't have time to read, you don't have the time or the tools to write. Simple as that. So according to Stephen King, and I actually really agree with him, because the more you read, the more you expatiate your imagination, your vocabulary, the more you engage your curiosity, and then you find new things every day. And I think as a woman, we gradually move into the era of no surprise, and our imagination should never get into that stage. We should be able to condition ourselves to get to the flow state, and you'll be surprised how many people get through the flow state because of their writing. So look at it this way: writing can take many forms. such as essays, letters, diary, and many more. But not much emphasis has been placed on the benefit that are attached to it. So many people, we wanted to know why they're doing things. Some of those benefits are not self-evident straight away that you are doing. Some of them is not something you can, a tangible thing that you can touch. But the people that you're interacting with, your lifestyle begin to inspire them. Someone put it this way, that being inspired means being spirit. So people connected to you in a more deeper level than you ever be, because you come across as wise. And no one is going to live in this world enough to know everything, to experience everything. But through writing, you could travel to the places that you've never been into. So before I go straight to the 3 point, I'm trying to emphasize why writing is actually good for us. And you will see by the time I started open this chapter one at a time. In today's world, it could be one of the difficult arts and skills to develop. So the question is how? So just imagine in a world where people mind live and interactively through social media on their phone. People prefer to just send text to the friends and family rather than having face-to-face conversation. It could be because of the location where they live. It could be because of the current state where they are in their life. It could be for so many reasons. But most people don't even talk to their friend. They know everything they're doing on the Facebook. But the Facebook is just a one portion of the life of that person. So it's the platform that allows you to present the world that you want people to see. But why is it that we find it difficult to create time to write? You hear stories, people say, oh, when I was younger, I used to have a diary. I don't have time anymore. I have 2 kids, I have 3 kids. I have so many things going on in my life. I wrote it on my phone. Oh, I just know everything I want to do is in my mind. You hear all these kind of things that people say. So they have reason why they don't have enough time to write. I actually always encouraging people that are very close to me that every person have a one book within them to write. And until you actually write a book, you will not realize that it's not so difficult to write a book, but what's so difficult is to create the time to write it and to be more consistent with it, because sometimes you get to a point that you have nothing to write. Everything just go blank. But if you practice writing, and there's a different kind of writings that we can write. We can write to suit ourselves. We can write to inspire ourselves. We can write to reflect on our own action. We can write even for the business. We can write on our own actions. And you'll be so surprised how much of details that you can put down. Because when you write, it is impossible to be carried away with your emotions. Your emotions is there, but your writing make you distance with it. You become like someone actually watching the person that feeling the emotions. Because you think, and because you think, you actually slow the emotions down and you begin to write, and then you begin to write. And you get to a point you begin to use your critical thinking, and you ask yourself that, because I'm feeling this way, does that mean I need to act this way? So, many of you might have heard or read or someone mentioned a Stoic philosopher king. And if you listen to it or hearing the name for the first time, it's also very good to find out more about it. He was a remarkable man. He was a man with the virtues and values. And he was so busy beyond business of mine or yours. Why did I say that? Marcus Aurelius, one of the good emperors of Rome, as much as his life so busy with the management of the empire subjects across nations and continents, imagine one person being in charge of the whole continents, not only in Europe, across to Asia and Africa to extent, and the nations. Just imagine how many officials that are managing this different portfolio for you, and is the guy being in charge, and constantly have to get the news, what is happening in so place, what causing the revolt, how to de-escalate the crisis. So he was well known for his diary that gives day-to-day account of his experiences. And those experiences is when you read Marcus Aurelius' diary. This diary wasn't written for me and you, but it was a privilege that he actually put down what is happening in his own time and how he's managed to handle it, manage it. And you'll be surprised that this is a human experience and is connected to me right now, connected to you right now. And one person has already been through that stage, and they find the time to write their experience down. And when you listen, I have not really read the whole diary myself, but I've listened to the e-diary, the podcast side of it. I've listened to others that are reading it out. I've read the book of Stoic philosopher today that they making account and recommendation and statement about the book itself. But just imagine that he has to put his thought down in his diary every day, ranging from the emotions, how he was feeling before the event, how he was feeling after the event, relationships that he has with his family, with his peers, with the enemies, with the people that he work with, even with work. He's the one that said when you wake up in the morning, be so privileged that you have a work to go to. And when you think like that, it is impossible to depress about the nature and the state of your work, because it's all about your attitude according to him. He wrote about people, that's human behavior, actions, what people are capable of, low emotion, enviness, jealousy, resentment, and all these kind of things. Leaderships. That some people, their ambition was so much that the end justifies the means, or the means justifies the end. So he wrote about war, and finally he wrote about psychology. And until you actually have a chance, if you can listen to it like I have, you'll be so surprised how much that book could actually help you to managing your own experiences. However, despite his schedule and demands, he has time to write in his diary daily. So the question is, why is he doing that? Why is it so important to him that with his busy of the time, with the busy of his days, why is it that every day he put the account of his experience down? I also read a book about the Eastern Front, about the German soldier that are giving account of his battalion, what happened to them, how people what the soldier did, and the experience and the observation of the enemy, and write it down each day. Me and you are not had the privilege to be alive at that time. We are not actually in that place at that time, but through his own diary, we are able to travel in time with that person. And what happened 70, 80 years ago is also happening in another part of the world today. Just think about Russia and Ukraine now. So, same with many great individuals. Today, we read about their experiences through their autobiographies. One of the books that shaped me many years ago is reading Abraham Lincoln biography. Against all the odds, what shined out for me is the attitude the man possessed, and his remarkable ability to forgive. He's still a human being. He felt the pain, he felt the loss, he felt the demand, insincerity, unfairness of others. But his determination is taking responsibility for things that many people would find reason to blame somebody else for it. No opportunity, fine. But I shall study and prepare, and one day my chance will come. And it did come. So when it came, he's already ready for it. Many of us, opportunity comes, but we are not prepared for it. So when it came, it flew away. I always say, when you have an idea or inspiration to do something, that is the moment you should do it, because you'll be surprised that you are not the only one that received that ideas, but it's the people that respond to that ideas that will manifest it in real time. So, without taking much of our time, let's dive into the 3 benefits of writing. Number 1, I call it therapeutic. There is emotional well-being related to writing. It's only when you write your thoughts and your feelings down, when you pass through, maybe you pass through breaking up a relationship, or you pass through where you are at your work, you begin to see the bigger picture. You begin to see things in a brighter way, rather than your own feelings misjudging the account of the event. And you have to be brutally honest in your writing so that you can have the true picture. And I think sometimes, personally for me, my writing do a lot of work for me, inside work, and I've been doing it for almost over 20 years now, and I have different types of writings. I've writing when I decide to write a fictional book. I have writing when I have to write a personal growth, and when I have writing about diary to give the account of my own actions every day. What did I set up to do? I put 3 things down for that day. How did I manage to achieve those things? What are the things that I did well today? And then what can I improve from what I did today that is not really meet up to the standard that I set for it? And then I also have a place that I have to put down what am I happy and grateful for. Because sometimes we forgot that we have achieved a lot when we focus our attention to things that we don't have or is not in our life, and we continue to chase and chase and chase and chase. You don't want to be with someone that they say a goal, they achieve the goal, they say another one, they place with that. Take time, enjoy it, embrace it, because the time you have is yours. So when you are no longer here, everything you've done is no longer yours. And that is the fact that we don't take time to think about it. But writing is therapeutic, and it depends on the level that we wanted to write. Most important thing when you're using writing as therapeutic is to be brutally honest with ourselves. Many people that blame a lot of people in their lives, they actually contributed to a lot of things that they blame people for. Let's say individual, I'm not talking about child or someone that have learning difficulties here. I'm talking like a grown-up adult that have taken responsibility as an adult themselves. If you don't know your boundaries and you attract people that come to your life to test and push your boundary, and you are also attached to the desire to be liked to the point that you are ready to pay any price for it, even if these people cannot help you, you got to look into that and say, why am I doing this to myself? And the only way you notice these things is when you actually write it down. You write how you compromise yourself, that the things that you don't believe in it, but you are doing it in order to make somebody else happy. But with your own expense, happiness when you are alone, you know that this behavior is not the behavior that you are proud of about yourself. So people that take time to write their feelings on paper without showing it to anybody claim to feel a lot much better and beat away from their feelings with clarity. That takes me to number 2. I call it enlightenment. For many people, suffering brought their enlightenment. And it is true that most of the people that find their enlightenment in different parts of their journey of their life, whether they're physical or in the spiritual realm, it comes from their suffering. It could come from the breaking down of the relationship or the loss of the loved one, or the breaking down of the friendship, and they are back in the journey of finding joy within themselves. And they realize that this is what they always want to be, but they pay so much price to get to that place. But there's another way you can reach this stage according to some of the research that have been done. Most fictional writers are perceived to be wise. Why is that? Because they expand our imagination to the thing that we didn't know is real. I remember many years ago, I was in the university there, and then we, as an engineering student, we are going through some of the white paper of innovation Microsoft was thinking of implementing in the features where we can make a communication through the internet, we can interact with our fridge, we can interact with our light, we can even interact with our garage. Today, almost 20 years now, these things becoming something that we took for granted. The time the paper came out, there's no feasibility of it, that we can use our phone to interact with our bank. Then the bank doesn't have a confidence to unleash that application, that technology. So it started in Africa, where a remote farmer can get instant price to the product of their cocoa through their phone, and they can release funds to their bank through their phone. So as soon that technology more improved, today most of the banking is confidence to shut down some of their branches, because many people don't really have the need to go to the bank, to the branch office, to do day-to-day banking service. They can do it in their comfort home. So these are the people that imagine things and they created it. So you can reach the enlightenment where your writing can take you to places that you never thought you could be. You could suddenly have a moment that, why am I doing things in this way? I can actually try this way. Lastly, number 3, reflection, which is similar to number 1, but just to expand on it. Keeping diaries or journaling open your awareness to area of yourself that you are not aware it exists. So there's nothing else can help you to tap into self-awareness is through your writing. You capture your behaviors. If the camera capture what you do, it's not enough. But when you begin to write down, you begin to ask yourself deep questions that we don't ask ourselves: who I am? Am I the name my parents call me? Am I the gender that I am? Am I the color of the skin that I have? Am I what my friend call me? So who am I? So, and these are deep questions. A spiritual teacher once said that you should ask, who am I, as many times as possible until you have the clarity of what the answer to it. Finally, we have many things in our heads regarding goals and tend to jump from one thing to another without accountability. But for those who have learned to write their goals down, they also set accountability by setting a timeline, how, when to achieve it. So this topic is related to previous episode, like I said earlier, which is 5 benefits of reading. And until you try and listen to that and you listen to this, it all comes together. So I hope this message helps someone. And if you like to get in touch, and the best way you support this podcast is share it, let people that you know in your network know about it. And if you want to know 2 or 3 things about us as a community, you can also check it out on our website at www.lifeforlivingwell.com. And if you don't have the time to listen to the podcast or read the article, we also stream it on our YouTube page at lifeforlivingwell.com. Until we meet again next week, please stay safe and have a wonderful week ahead. Ciao.